The morning shift at the glass and steel tower always smelled like lemon cleaner and quiet judgment, and Daniel Reyes felt it the second he pushed his cart through the revolving doors, the city's reflection bending around him as if trying not to acknowledge he existed. His uniform was a size too big, inherited from a man who'd quit last winter, sleeves rolled twice to keep them from dipping into buckets, boots scuffed and permanently damp no matter how often he dried them. He moved carefully, methodically, the way you do when one mistake can cost you a job you can't afford to lose. Every swipe of the mop echoed against marble that cost more than his monthly rent, and every echo reminded him why he kept his head down. Daniel was a single dad, a fact that lived in his bones more than his mouth, because it shaped every choice he made, which shifts he begged for, how often he swallowed insults, how quickly he apologized even when he wasn't wrong. Sophia needed school supplies, braces next year, and the kind of stability that didn't shatter when a temperamental boss woke up on the wrong side of wealth. So when the elevator doors parted and Cassandra Vale stepped into the lobby surrounded by assistants, lawyers, and an air of unquestioned authority, Daniel instinctively lowered his gaze and worked faster. Cassandra was a name people said carefully, a billionaire CEO whose company occupied the top 20 floors, a woman praised in magazines for being fearless and uncompromising, words that translated on the ground floor into ruthless and cold. Her heel struck the floor with surgical precision as she stopped near Daniel, watching him polish the brass directory, and when she spoke her voice cut through the space like glass snapping. She asked, loudly, whether maintenance was trained to work efficiently or if this was the best they could do, then added with a thin, dismissive smile that some people should remember their place in a building like this. A few nervous laughs fluttered from her entourage. Someone raised a phone, pretending to check messages while angling the camera. Daniel felt the heat rush to his ears, the old familiar burn of humiliation, and he murmured an apology because apologies were cheaper than pride. As he reached for a rag, the cuff of his sleeve slipped back, revealing dark ink against scarred skin, and Cassandra's eyes narrowed. She scoffed, gesturing vaguely at his arm, remarking that tattoos were a poor man's mistake, proof of bad decisions and worse discipline, and told security to keep an eye on him as if he were a threat instead of a man with a mop. The words stuck to Daniel like grime. He finished his route in silence, ignored the sideways looks, and took his lunch in the stairwell where the hum of the city filtered through concrete and steel. Sitting on the cold step, he stared at the tattoo on his forearm, an emblem precise enough to still look sharp after years, wrapped in coordinates and a date he could never forget. It wasn't decorative. It was a promise, a memory, a scar you could see. He thought of Sophia's laugh the night before, flour on her nose from pancakes shaped like stars, her voice asking if he'd be home for bedtime. He'd promised yes, like he always did. The life he'd built after fire and smoke and sirens depended on promises kept. So when the building's alarms suddenly screamed, slicing through the afternoon with red lights and metallic panic, Daniel didn't freeze like the executives did. His body moved before his mind finished the thought, because some instincts don't fade, no matter how small the world tries to make you. Part 2. Smoke curled up from the lower mechanical floors, confusion rippling outward as security argued over protocols and executives clustered near exits they'd never used before, and Daniel was already running the stairs 2 at a time, lungs burning but steady, the calm settling over him like an old uniform he'd never truly taken off. He smelled electrical fire before he saw it, heard the panicked sobbing of someone trapped behind a jammed service door, and without hesitation he ripped off his overshirt, wrapped it around his hand, and forced the scalding latch while sparks spat like angry insects. Inside, a young intern crouched against the wall, eyes wild, frozen between fear and smoke, and Daniel dropped to her level, spoke softly, told her to breathe with him, to follow his voice. He reached a manual cutoff hidden behind a panel most people walked past every day, shut it down with a practiced twist, and the roar died to a hiss. Fire crews arrived minutes later to find the worst already contained, damage limited, lives intact, and their surprise showed in the way they stared at the cleaner with soot on his face and command in his posture. When Cassandra Vale pushed through the chaos, furious and shaken, she demanded to know who had interfered, until her eyes landed on Daniel standing bare-armed under the flashing lights. His tattoo was fully visible now, unmistakable to anyone who knew what they were looking at, the insignia of a classified rescue unit spoken about in whispers after disasters, the coordinates marking a mission that had pulled hundreds from rubble during a catastrophe the city still mourned, the date etched like a vow that never expired. A fire captain went still, then snapped to attention, addressing Daniel by a name he hadn't used in years, and the lobby fell silent as Cassandra's certainty cracked. Daniel explained quietly that after his wife died, he left the life that kept him gone for months, chose something quieter so his daughter would never fall asleep without him again, that cleaning floors paid less but let him be present, that dignity didn't require applause or titles. Cassandra's apology came clumsy and public, cameras catching every second, but Daniel accepted it without triumph, only asking that the intern keep her job and that the cleaners be treated like people. The following weeks brought policy changes, scholarships, and an offer Daniel declined, choosing instead a raise and hours that let him pick Sophia up from school. One evening, mopping the lobby as the sun set gold against glass, Cassandra passed by and nodded, not above him or through him but to him, and Daniel smiled, the tattoo hidden again, knowing his true identity had never been about ink or status, only about what you do when the alarms sound and no one's watching.